Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's The Future of Packaging campaign. I'm Ashley Blake. Plastic waste is a pressing environmental issue, but opinion is split on how to solve it. Although technology has developed over the past few decades, only a fraction of the total tonnage of plastic gets recycled. And while coated paper and glass are frequently touted as sustainable alternatives to plastic, the recycling rates of these materials vary significantly between regions. It gets even more nuanced when looking at how many times different materials can be recycled and which ones actually stay in the loop to achieve circularity. Today we're going to be talking to Jenny Wassenaar, Chief Sustainability Officer at Trivium Packaging. So when it comes to recycling, I think I'm doing my bit because I'm using the various bins and I only choose products that have the little symbol on there that says 100% recyclable. As consumers, how aware are we about the materials?
So consumers in general are very aware of sustainability. However, there's much more to it. In Trivium Packaging we do a research, and in this Buying Green report we investigate the perception of sustainability in packaging among more than 15,000 end consumers globally. And what we have identified, indeed, like yourself, 67% of these end consumers consider themselves environmentally aware. And 73% is even willing to pay more for sustainable packaging. So that all sounds extremely good. However, how do you really make sure that a material is sustainable?
So in order to be actually environmentally friendly, I need to take a closer look at what I'm buying and what goes into the packaging. So you're saying a paper cup or a plastic box is not necessarily 100% recyclable.
Correct. Yes, unfortunately, that's not always the case. So in some cases, and in some exceptional cases, recycling rates can be very high for a particular product in a particular area. But in general, if you look at all the plastics on a global level, only 14% of all this plastic is actually collected for recycling. And that's only the collection of recycling. We're not even talking about the full recycling, because a lot of that plastic that's collected for recycling is in the end also downcycled, so used for other materials. A big difficulty that you have with packages is that most of the packages that you buy in the supermarket are built up of different materials. But then when you look at the afterlife, so when I've used my package, I finished it, then I can deposit it at, for example, the paper bin. But then the paper handling companies, can they really use the paper if it also contains all kind of plastics or aluminium or different layers of other materials?
I don't know.
That is the question.
Yeah, can they? I don't know.
Now the answer is, unfortunately, they can not always. But we have to think a bit deeper, and also as packaging designers, we have to look for ways that we actually really make sure that these materials are coming back in the loop and making sure that they can be used for future generations.
You have a solution. What is it?
Yes, so the good news is that there are solutions out there. So the materials that Trivium Packaging brings to the market are all infinitely recyclable. So we have metal packaging solutions, and that means that it's either aluminium or tin plate steel, and both of them can be recycled over and over again. Because throughout the recycling process, the chemical composition of these cans do not change. So that means that the metal can be used in new applications. Not only in packaging, the metal can become from a can, it can become part of a building, then become part of a bridge, then become part of something else again. 80% of all the metal that's ever been used is still in use today.
I can't imagine, I don't know, a lipstick, for example, coming in a metal container.
I have a few very nice examples of our own portfolio. What we see is there's a significant growth for metal packaging solutions in the home and personal care environment. So we see shampoos being delivered in metal containers with a pump system, so you can even refill it and reuse it at home. So that's really exciting. But also packages for example, wine. Yeah, in the past, if you thought of a wine, you think of a wine bottle, a wine glass bottle.
Sure.
But that's not the future anymore. The future is aluminium bottles. We want to make a change, we want to impress our consumers by more environmentally friendly materials.
When it comes to talking about metals, of course, it's very, very hard to produce. You've got to heat it, you've got to mine it, and surely that's going to be very, very expensive.
Sure, it takes time to get the materials out of the ground. But the good news is that metal is infinitely recyclable. So as soon as it's in the loop, you can keep on using it over again. On top, you only need 5% of the energy that you put in the first time when you recycle.
How are you pushing this sort of technology forward? How are you convincing brands and manufacturers to look towards metals more than paper or plastics?
Now, of course, we take within Trivium our own actions. We have 2 very extensive R&D centers globally and more than 100 R&D, so research and development experts. What we have put in place is an eco-design standard. So what we do is every time when we design a new can, a new bottle, a new packaging solution in the end for our brands, we go through what can we do to reduce, to reuse and recycle the materials. That's the R&D development. But then on top as well, we work with our supply chain, with our suppliers, but also with our customers on integrated solutions. And I think that makes a difference. Sustainability cannot be driven by only one company. It has to be driven throughout the full supply chain. So it's also about educating our customers around the possibilities to educate the end consumers around how to recycle. Going back to the first question that you asked me, of course, in the end, we have to place information on the cans around how to recycle these cans, and in a way that the end consumer understands it, so that you deposit your materials in the right bin in the end. Because then I'm getting back the materials and I can use them again.
And talking of the future, Jenny, what would you like to see?
The future for me is about reduce, reuse and recycle. The future is about more educated customers and more educated brands. So, and finally, the future for me as well is more aluminium and more steel in the packaging industry.
Jenny Wassenaar, Trivium.